evening, everyone. She just set the agenda that the world is rapidly changing. We all need storytelling. No longer is a time that messaging used to be written by someone else, and then the role of PR was just to ensure that amplification happens. And in that context, I think the way the brand tells a story is much beyond numbers. It's also about the way story gets told. With me, I have some very interesting panelists today. I'll start off with Apeksha. Apeksha is joining us today, who heads public relations and content at Policybazaar. Am I audible? Yeah, okay. At Policybazaar and its parent company, PB Fintech. Seasoned broadcast journalist and turned as a comms head. She has played a pivotal role in building Policybazaar's reputation as India's leading insurtech brand. With her, we have Usha. Usha heads the Copcom for Dr. Reddy's, one of India's leading global pharma giants. And she's a PhD in history. She's been an academician. She loves storytelling. And of course, the way she told stories to her students about history, she's telling the same way to us and to the stakeholders at large. We have a very dear friend of mine, Gayatri Sharma. Apart from wearing a beautiful sari, she's also a brilliant Bharatanatyam dancer. But that's on the personal side. On the professional side, she currently leads the Copcom team at Rolls-Royce. And of course, is looking after the community investment for the Asia-Pacific region as well. And the minority, as the way happens in PR, the minority in our profession is the only man in this panel. Of the panelists, I'm a moderator, so I'm out of it. Bratin is Director Corporate Affairs at AB InWeb, one of world's largest beer firm. He leads this practice. He's a corporate affairs leader with over 15 years of experience, has worked with Raymond's, Reliance, has a stint with Hanmer MSL, and of course with Adfactors as well. Right, so he specializes in navigating complex regulatory landscape, crafting compelling narratives and crisis. So welcome all of you. I think it's a good session. I just want to start with Gayatri, if that's okay with you. Extreme insight sitting on my side. Gayatri, the power of storytelling.
So I will probably start with a story.
Yeah.
One from my own personal experience, in fact, probably as a dancer. We were invited to perform for a Women's Day special show that was being organized for the Supreme Court lawyers and judges. So our guru said, and we're a dance duet, our guru said, let's pick up the theme of Sita and focus on doing something around Sita. And he said, you will be Sita, Gayatri. And I thought, oh no, what a boring character. I don't want to really do Sita, you know, but okay, you can't, you know, defy the guru. And I was like, okay, fine. And then I started doing research. I started reading about Sita. I started reading about her story from many, many perspectives, from different authors. And it really took me some time to realize that there is a different view if you look at the whole Ramayana from her perspective. And if you actually think back about the fact that she was the one who was taken prisoner by Ravana, she was the one who went through all the troubles, whereas the story is always told from Rama's angle in terms of all the trials he went through, how he had to go through the forest looking for her, all the experiences he had with Vali and Sugriv and collecting the army of Vanaras. And actually, that entire journey and that entire war would have been meaningless if Sita were not such a mentally strong woman. For if you look at it, even in today's context, there's so many girls who, if put in a situation like that, kidnapped, tortured, surrounded by evil characters, people lusting after them, they could take their own life. They could take extreme steps. Or she could have married Ravana. There was enough reason to. But if she had done all that, what would have been the outcome of the story of the Ramayana? It would have changed so dramatically. Would Ram still be the hero? So To me, that is a great example of a piece of content where you looked at it and one, research, phenomenally important to give you insights. Context, very, very important. We related it to today's audience and we said, will every woman in the audience relate to it if I tell it from her perspective? Will every woman relate to different aspects of her story? So many of us have been through sexual harassment experiences. So many of us have been at the receiving end of unwanted advances by some man or the other in our life. I believe if you ask a room full of women, 90% would have been through an experience like that. So would they respond? Would they, connect with that context and Sita's story from that context? And then how do we pick up those excerpts and present it from that perspective? That is the content in the context which is relevant to the audience and presented in a way that can capture the attention of the audience. So that's the same principle that you need to apply, because the power of storytelling is such that people, once they connect with you and relate to the context of what you're saying, they will feel deeply about your message. So the message is, becomes the end outcome of your story. But if you tell it right, with the right research, the right insights, and really find that emotional context to connect with the audience, there's true power in storytelling.
Absolutely. I think in the era of Animal and Kabir Singh, the alpha males need to understand what is the right way of storytelling. Over to you, Bratin. Same thing, same question. How do you think brands are leveraging storytelling? And specifically, if you can talk about your brands, how are you using storytelling in that perspective?
Thanks, Samir. So just taking a leaf out of what Usha said, I think storytelling is something that creates a difference, right? It tries to create an emotional bond between the audience that you want to reach out to eventually. So I think that is what compelling narratives and storytelling create for any particular brand, for that matter. And that is what makes the audience understand you as a company, as a brand, or the service that you sell, for that matter. And that is what the differentiating factor it is. And all PR professionals, all of us in the room, is largely doing that in some way or the other, whether we are leading that effort or a part of a team that is doing that effort, right? Or servicing a client or a brand that is doing that. So I think storytelling is at the heart of what we do as communication professionals. I think from a brand perspective, that is exactly, Samir, what we do for all our brands. I don't think any brand can today call itself a brand if it doesn't tell a story to the audience. At the end of the day, what matters for any B2C company or a service is that what kind of a story and how relatable it is and meaningful it is to the audience that you can create. And that is why me as a consumer, I will want to consume that brand over any other brand that is on offer. So I think that is the main differentiating factor. We have global brands within our portfolio like Budweiser, Corona, Hoegaarden. And if you see any of our social media pages, for example, today, or any of us showing up in any music festivals or brands, you will tell that every time we want to tell a story. And every story, whether it's the legacy that we come with, our heritage on how many years we have been in the business, why we take immense pride in what we do, because we have stood the test of time. We are a company of 600 plus years, and most of our brands are stood the test of time and will live for 100 plus years, only because we have managed to stay relevant and tell a compelling story to our consumers.
Thanks for that. Yeah, relevancy and telling a compelling story to the rumors. To Apeksha, my question is a little different because you also look at content and you've been into broadcast journalism. How do you strike the balance between, the right balance between substance and delivery? So in terms of PR, it's between content versus communication.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for having me here. Absolutely. I'll just add on to what he mentioned. So we are all having a conversation here. So basically, storytelling is at the heart of all conversations, right? And that's how humans connect. Coming to personal finance, that's what we look at Policy Bazaar. it is very important to share the right information, the right kind of information with the customer versus sharing loads of content altogether. So we cater to different segments. So for us, it is very important that we customize our messaging to the NRI team, NRI customers in a particular manner versus the self-employed segment in a different manner, versus the HNIs in a different manner, versus women in a different manner. And how do we do that? AI helps us a lot because we are able to find out, that for example, we launched a term insurance policy for homemakers. Now that was a first in the industry. There was no term insurance for homemakers. If you're working, only then you could buy. But then with all our research and we being an insurance company, AI helped us to find out where the need was, what were the kind of questions we were being asked by customers, and also brainstorming with the insurer, we understood that, okay, this segment needs to be customized and personalized and attended to in a certain manner. So we then worked along with the insurer. Max was the first insurer, and we launched the first term insurance plan for homemakers, and that became a big segment. So when you say content, you said content and communication, right? So I think the personalization part, along with the storytelling, they have to go hand in hand for a great communication.
What about delivery? As in, how do you amplify?
See, I feel good content picks up, okay, and communication. Now everyone does the same thing, the main line, the PR, the release and everything. But I feel if it's a combination of good content and good delivery, that kicks off. Yeah. So as a comms person who's also looking at content, it is very important for us to know to create the content which is, which is going to hit hard, which is going to touch the souls of everyone, and not just AI generated, if I would say. And along with that, make the reach happen. So the combination there would be great.
Right, thanks for that. Usha, coming to you, while Apeksha mentioned about too much of finance and how the importance of storytelling is important, you are in a very regulated industry. The hawkish view that the regulator has on whatever you say, whatever you do, how do you still tell stories and how do you personalize the stories around it?
Thanks, Samir. Yes, you're absolutely spot on. Pharma has, being a listed company and being audited by regulators, pharma regulators, means you have double the pressure. There's always spotlight on you. Every word you're saying can be held against you in a court of law, can come under scrutiny, can come under lots of things. I'll start by saying one thing. A lot of ground has been covered, but if I were to put it in a pithy manner, the raison d'etre for storytelling, intellectual persuasion versus emotional persuasion. You can tell a story, you can give out hard numbers and facts, and this is something I think we all tell our leaders all the time. X number of X percentage growth, and we delivered X percentage so-and-so, versus the emotional persuasion. We love films in this country. There's a reason why we love films. We love the story of a good guy fighting against all the odds and coming out victorious. You touched upon similar things in your story example as well. I think that goes a long way in showing us why stories are powerful and important. The second thing I wanted to say was, I think anything we do actually is a form of storytelling. You're giving out information about yourself, your brand, your company constantly. You mentioned delivery previously. This could take the form of a hoarding through which you've said a pithy story about your company, a TV commercial, it could be a press release, it could be a video on social media. All of these are giving out stories about your company. Specifically coming to pharma, you are absolutely right. Now pharma is a life-saving industry, from acute to chronic diseases, from life-threatening diseases to your common cold, everything, there's a wide-ranging portfolio. In pharma, this has been a sector that has been traditionally reticent. I would say a bit media shy, a bit reticent. That's because you have to be very careful. You are as good as your last 30 seconds of quality and safety in pharma. Your product quality is what makes you, is what speaks for you. There are two things I'd like to bring out from the pharma point of view here. One, the external stakeholder universe, to answer your question. And the second is your own employee base. Both of them are equally influenced by storytelling. Creating a sense of purpose, creating a sense of trust, Also, of course, somehow sort of communicating your reliability as a potential partner, as a potential customer, and so on, extremely important. Somewhat perhaps less leveraged side of things is leadership communication. CEOs often, there are crisis situations, or when the chips are down, you want to motivate your workforce, you also want to give out confidence elsewhere. It happens through stories. So some examples that I've just jotted down for different circumstances. You mentioned how do you tell stories in pharma. Yeah. Some that came to my mind were, there was a time we wanted to communicate patient centricity. And we delved into our own R&D, our head of R&D. So this is for a previous company I'd worked with. The head of R&D actually told this beautiful story, a very real life story. She was at the airport. She saw a mother and child, sort of an asthma bout coming on. The mother delved into her bag. She was trying to fit the mask and the tube and so on and so forth. This was probably 20 years ago. She sat there and thought, we're a pharma company, we are in this therapy. Why are we giving them different parts? We should give them one integrated part so that this mother does not have to struggle again at the airport for her child. Therein lies the birth of a new product. That's a wonderful story of patient centricity. Similarly, stories, you want to talk about innovation, you go all the way. We were trying to build sort of our credibility in new markets, markets that did not look at India or an Indian pharma company necessarily as the most sort of reliable source of products. So we came out with all these stories about the fact that we were the first in the early 90s to use a chopper to export drugs to a war zone. To the time we brought new products and we had testimonials from patients and doctors. So really, sometimes in pharma, unlike consumer goods or other fast-moving sectors, you need a third person to tell your story, your HCPs, your patients, and so on. It helps you break into new markets. It helps you create that trust. One final thing, authenticity. More so maybe in regulated markets than others, but authenticity is key. Showiness versus simplicity, bluster versus fact, all of these are key to remember when you're playing in as sensitive a space as pharma.
Right, authenticity in the current format. Gayatri, coming back to you on, there are two questions that I have. Given the new age that has dawned on us, 2023 was a watershed year because the LLMs in their third version got accepted by people like us, which is masses. ChatGPT caught everyone's imagination. DeepSeek got everyone's imagination this year, and you've seen what's happening in that space. Now, in the age of artificial intelligence, data-driven, every press release looking the same, and misinformation, and we've seen this during the Mahakumbh time, that I for a once was caught unaware that Elon Musk, Donald Trump, everyone is taking the Sai Snan at Kumbh, and I thought, boss, India has arrived from the softer power, only to realize that it's the it's deep fake that is at play. Yeah. So how do you see this, and this is going to continue, the future of public relation in the era of AI and the importance of storytelling in it?
Sure. Thank you, Samir. I think that's a brilliant topic and definitely an endless one. But I think that, there's going to be a significant role for technology going forward, and there's no turning back from that. But having said that, I think the important thing even more is going to be the human element. The sixth sense, the seventh sense, whatever sense that we are going to bring to the table to actually define the outcomes that you get from technology. I think that role of human intervention is going to become even more important, and I think the future is going to be about people who are skilled at using technology, defining the right keywords that will lead to the right outcomes, and being able to deliver great results from AI and other technologies is what the future is going to be about. And it definitely means that people like us who have probably started out with faxing press releases to Times and all the press, all the media offices, to to moving to email, to moving to whatever. I mean, I think for us it's definitely been a steep learning curve throughout the years, and we're ready for one more change, absolutely. And there's, like I said, I think there is a misconception that if you use that technology, you're just going to make life easier. You can't make life easier until you actually really passionately know what you want to deliver from that. So when it comes to that story, yes, I do believe that there is an opportunity to leverage technology to get insights faster, to get readings, to get, listen in on conversations faster, to understand what your TG is really talking about, what your TG feels strongly about, what themes are really capturing their attention. And all the more that's important in terms of the speed of that information, because today's audience is growing up on 30-second reels and less. So therefore, to capture that attention, you need to be listening in to what's the most topical thing that's capturing their attention, and then to be part of that conversation. But to be part of that conversation, you really need to put on your communicator's hat, and you need to put on that hat which tells you what you need to really be looking out for, and how do you kind of navigate your brand presence in that conversation. So I think our roles are just going to get more important if you cotton on to the fact that you need to learn those skills to be able to navigate the new world.
Sure. So Bratin, coming to you, I think Gayatri has put across a very important point in an era where 30-second reels are defining. But the other side is also true. They are making a 3.5-hour movie also a hit. Animal, Pushpa 2. It's one of the highest number of span that the movie is for, and it's grossing huge amount of crores from the box office. At the same time, she pointed out that life was easier. There was only one print media to follow. Yeah. Then it came Google. It was still easier, only search engine to be optimized. Today, Google is losing its dominance. You have ChatGPT, you have Pinterest, you have Reddit, you have Insta, and maybe Snap, and a few more that I'm not even aware. The younger audience would be aware. How do you still manage the art of storytelling in a tech-dominated world?
Okay, so I would take two approaches. One is on the business side. We as a company work with a lot of new tech, applications. Because we obviously want to develop products, and when I'm telling product, these are consumable products, obviously beer, non-alcoholic, alcoholic, both, and we want to know that in the next 10 years, which is the new innovation that we would like to bring to speed. And for that, we use a lot of AI tools, a lot of data. We hire, at least in India, a lot of data analytics, people who have expertise in them, and use new technologies to predict the future. But at the same time, the business decisions are taken obviously with a lot of, depending on which market is what matured. So, from a business side, we use a lot of new technologies to, come up with these products. From a storytelling standpoint, I think it is today become very, very easy for anybody who starts their career or at the early stage of the PR career and doesn't really know how hard you have to work to tell an authentic story. I think if you look at all of us, what we spoke about on storytelling, on crafting narratives, I think emotion is something that no AI tool or any technology can bring to the table. And in our industry, I think that is where you craft compelling storytelling or narratives, because you bring emotion to it. Every brand has to do that. So I think if you know how to use the right technology, which is in this case definitely AI, but at the same time don't use it as is, but add emotion to it and then use it. I think it can definitely help you craft a lot of content that we use even in multiple projects internally. We definitely use AI in a lot of spaces, which has helped us save a lot of time when we have to draft something. But I get your point on crafting story pitches through AI, or whether it is press releases or any other format, but it should not be used the way it throws up. Also, it is an art to know what is the prompt that you have to put it to get the right output. So till the time you don't know what exactly is the story that you want to tell, you can't just use as is.
Right. Apeksha, coming to you, you did mention that you launched a new product basis the data and the mining that was done, of course, talking about the relevance of technology, how technology has helped. If you can throw some light in a data-driven industry that you are in, where everything is all about numbers, all about analytics, how do you bring in your creative part of content creator, ensuring that you tell a story which your TG or TA is going to relate to?
Absolutely. Before I answer that at length, I would like to add to what Gayatri said. I think technology is here to make things scalable. We are going to put, but we are the ones who are going to put life into it. So, are we short on time?
No, no.
Yeah, okay. So, but we are the ones who are going to put life into it. So, AI is not going to hinder anything, but we need to know how to best make use of it and not make it a problem, but help us act faster, because there has to be an urgency in addressing to each customer query or to reaching out to the right customer at the right time. So I think technology and hand in hand with a good storytelling sense, has a long way to go for all communication experts. Coming to your question, yes, on the storytelling part, since we are an insurtech company and we have a lot of data, so much so that every month, we churn out data stories with respect to all BUs, be it health, motor, the B2B business arm that we have, or term, life. So I think we give angles to it. I'll tell you the recent we had Women's Day, right? So we do a lot of women-centric stories, but this time we did a very in-depth analysis of how women are buying insurance, and not just insurance, investment products as well. So largely it was an entire number game, but we put it into a lot of context to it, right? Showing so that a woman, of age 25, working somewhere, reads it and relates to it. On the other hand, a 60-year-old woman who's looking to plan her retirement plans, annuities, etc., also reads it and relates to it. So we are there to give some context to the data that we have, that we are culling out from the business teams or the reports that we do. But contextualizing it and giving it a story peg is what we as experts have to decide, that what works and what doesn't work.
So आपने data को Mona Lisa कर दिया, जो जिस तरह से देख रहा है उसी हिसाब से interpret कर रहा है.
That is fair, actually. It is we are quite a big company Absolutely. Now, and our share is.
Yeah, please.
Because your point about how a lot of data and having access to a lot of data is also becoming the norm today. But I think, again, I go back to the point that knowing what you want to play with, what data to play with and not, in terms of being, having that sense to figure out what could be, what could make, everything can make a headline. But do you chase after every headline or not? What falls within your strategy at the end of the day in terms of the larger goals that you're looking to achieve? I think that's, again, a lens that the human bit will only bring in. And of course, also too much dependence on technology-generated data can also have its pitfalls. We all know that, today a lot of results can also come based on whatever data is available to the AI tool, right? So it does skew sometimes the insights that you get. So again, there is, a lot of human intervention, and yeah, don't worry, we all still have jobs, I think, for the near future.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. You can get 10 inferences, but which one not makes a headline, but which one sells a compelling story, you got to decide that. So yeah.
So in pharma industry, the biasness to data that Gayatri just mentioned, how do you ensure that aspect through better storytelling comes in? Because the tendency by the R&D is to, this product is the best. We are better than the Ozempic, and therefore, while Karan Johar has reduced 40 kgs, I can ensure that someone loses 80. So how do you ensure that aspect, and how difficult it is for your industry to talk about in this aspect?
It's a wonderful question. I think highly regulated sectors probably tend to have the most, I'd call them storytelling skeptics. I think the word storytelling often, it's been used so much and by so many people that it gets mistaken for style over substance, it gets mistaken for stunts, gimmicks and so on, because it's a much used word, it's applied everywhere, which is why we go back to the point of authenticity. Often also people make this false dichotomy between the left brain and the right brain, the data versus the emotional storytelling and so on. And ये तो सिर्फ PR है, ये gimmick है, ये stunt है. This is where the actual facts lie. But if you were to accuse storytelling of being too emotional, can you not equally also accuse data of being capable of being tortured, molded, contorted into any way you want? Data can be tortured also. So why this false dichotomy that one is stronger than the other? So that takes a bit of time for CXOs to get convinced and understand all of this, particularly the technical operations like you mentioned, which is why when you get the R&D head, instead of them saying we have X number of patents, X number of technical parameters, to saying this product was born because we saw a real life unmet need in an airport where a mother was struggling with a child, which one has more impact and which one is your audience going to connect with?
Last 10 seconds, one word, one line. What do you think as summarizing the entire discussion? I'll ask all the panelists before I wind up. The buzzer is up.
Sure. I'll go back to my one word that I said at the start as well, authenticity.
Authenticity. Apeksha?
I was going to say authenticity, but yeah, authenticity, credibility,
Again, authenticity. All right. Pratin?
Same, but plus emotion.
Plus emotion. Authenticity plus emotion. Gayatri, anything?
I think a mix of technology plus human intervention to find the right context, the right story, and tell it authentically.
So, right context and therefore balancing technology with human intervention. Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you for being a lovely audience, and thank you all the panelists.